What is good, everybody? Welcome to Unfair Sports, talking OU football, college football, and sports in general. I am your host, Jay. We've got my guy here, Coop, coming back into the booth. Coop, what is going on?
What's good, my brother? I'm ready to do this. I'm getting excited. I'm ready to be hurt again.
Hey, the people wants to hear from you, especially now that we are here for Bedlam weekend. So, while you're here, folks, please hit the like and subscribe button as well as share. Why? Because sharing is caring. Those likes do help us out with the algorithms with YouTube, and it's very important to us content creators. So we got Coop today. We got a lot of things to talk about, but we're going to start off with the most important topic of the day, Bedlam. It is a Bedlam weekend, and first thing that jumped out to me about this being Bedlam is, Coop, we got the 6:30 slot on ABC. All right, who did we have to sleep with? Who did we have to bribe? What strange things for change did we have to do to get the 6:30 slot Central Time on ABC?
There were
Any
some things
ideas?
that there were some things that I did Friday and Saturday night that I'm not willing to share with the public,
So you're
but
not proud of it, huh?
but you know what? I do it for the people because I'm just going to say that the ESPN Plus crowd. I don't know what Make a Wish contest that those guys got to win in order to produce a game, but it's not very good. So, but no, here's the thing: this shows just the national attention that this rivalry gets.
It's true.
And again, locally, whether one side wants to call it a rivalry or not, this shows what the attention span is. This is in the state of Oklahoma, there is the Super Bowl and there is Bedlam, and they're about the same ratings. So when it comes to live sports, when it comes to any TV, this is better than Grey's Anatomy. This is better than Big Bang Theory. This is where it's at, and the networks know this.
No, yeah, that's true. And yeah, because this is the big deal. This is the state's Super Bowl. This is one game that people understand is of importance, and there's a lot of implications in this because Oklahoma State is still technically in the running to play in the Big 12 championship game. I don't know how they're not fully eliminated, and so because of that, this game is still something that's on the radar for everybody because TCU's already in. They've already stamped their spot.
Sure.
And you've got Oklahoma State, Baylor, and Texas that are one game behind Kansas State. And then Texas Tech and Kansas are 2 games behind. So technically, there's a chance that though any one of those, 6 teams can play TCU for the championship because the Big 12 has basically just abused each other the entire year. Fortunately for us Sooner fans, we are eliminated. We'll talk a lot more about that in the future, and I have a rant that you probably already seen that will definitely be out there for you all to partake upon. But I want to talk about this Bedlam game. I think that this is an important one, and so before that, let me throw one quick rant out there for everybody. We appreciate the support. Love having you here. Love having your fandom and you here with me. We did the instant reaction after the game, and one thing that I'm big on is I'm here for the dialogue. I want your responses. I want to understand your feelings as fans, just like me as a fan, and we'll have dialogue and everything. But the minute you start calling me names, then you're going to start getting it from me. And that's when I'll tell you, you don't ever have to watch me again. You can leave. I'm here about being respectful on both ends. If I disagree with you, I'm going to tell you I disagree, but I'm not going to call you a name. And I'm not going to talk crazy to you. So when my live streams go up, or even in these videos, if you're in the comments and you're talking crazy to me, just be prepared. I'm just like you. I'm human. And just because I'm on your YouTube screen or your phone or your TV at home doesn't mean that I ain't human. You may be yelling at the TV, but my face is there. And because my face is there, you're going to hear it. So just remember, name calling, I'm out. And that was kind of the big thing with the one cat that kept calling me a hypocrite. And it was like, you obviously don't know the definition of a hypocrite because there's nothing hypocritical about anything I've ever said about Oklahoma or any other school. So with that, put that disclaimer there to start. Let's talk about this game because I'm pretty excited about it. I'm excited about it specifically because it did primetime spot. This is a big game and implications. OU has the chance to do something they haven't done really in a long time, and that's really spoil it for somebody else. Usually it's us having the will for our own destiny, and this year it's not it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have a video come out explaining and talking more detail about that and these first-year coaches. It's been fun rating them. If you've listened to the podcast, I've been rating them over the last few weeks. But this is a unique year. So Oklahoma has a chance to be the spoiler for Oklahoma State. And, I mean, the last game is Texas Tech, and honestly, I don't think that's going to be big of a deal. But besides that, let's look at this game, Coop. Let's look at Oklahoma State. 6:30 Saturday night. First and foremost, X factors. Who do you think is going to be the X factor on the offensive side for Oklahoma?
We'll go over the team stats here in a second, but it's Eric Gray in the offensive line. It's the running game. The running game is the X factor. Eric Gray, I mean, he tossed out a 200-yard game, and we need to
a wasted 200-yard game.
Yeah,
I will say that we wasted it.
Somebody would have said, "Hey, he's going to run for 200 plus and 2 touchdowns." What you think? I'd have been like, "Well, I don't know how many we win by, but it's good." There's that. So I think that the reason why I'm picking Eric Gray is because their secondary is pretty terrible, and if we can get out there and run the ball, then we take any hope that they have away. And if that threat of the run is there, then the only glimmer of the hope, which is their defensive line, goes away. And so now you've got throwing the ball available and you've got running the ball available. And then also what it does is if that offense can do something against the Sooner defense, they stay over on the sideline.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm big. I like the thought on Eric Gray being the X factor. I'm going right back to who I was last week for the X factor in this game. It's going to be Dylan Gabriel. He's got to get back on target. Statistically, he is usually very accurate. He has been a little off since the concussion. He's had moments where he's looked shiny and other moments where it's looked like what's going on. But the biggest problem we have is he cannot complete passes over the middle. And it was one of my group chats. Somebody pointed this out and showed the stats, and it was pretty staggering seeing it. Yeah. He's like, it's just bad. Let me pull those up real quick. I had it and I closed it on accident, but he's not very good across the middle. And what we can basically point that to is him being short, being a short quarterback. Here it is. He is. Let me see. Across the middle, going deep, 15%, 3 for 19.
It was
between the numbers.
They don't even try.
Yeah, it's bad. It's just nothing. And he has better, or actually correction. He needs to stop throwing there. He needs to actually move around and throw it to where he can see, which he can scoot. Like, I don't understand why we're not getting more runs out of Dylan Gabriel, because the dude can run. And as terrified as we was about like the concussion piece, he was still running.
Yeah.
So he's still scooting. And I mean, of course, I've held my breath a couple of times. The good thing is he knows how to not get hit. That concussion was a dirty hit. So we understand that he knows he has the baseball mentality of knowing when to slide, knowing how to slide. So he's like 51% on a middle, passes of 10 yards or more. And then anything, 20 yards or more, 15%, 51% at 10 yards or more, and anything between 10 and 0, he's at about 75. So as long as he's not going deep across the middle, he's good. So I think it's still Dylan Gabriel. He needs to put up numbers in this game. This is the best opportunity. The weather is supposed to be optimal. Yeah. We need that. So that's our offensive X factor. Let's talk the defensive X factor. I'll lead us on this one. It's that defensive line. Still, we need pressure on the quarterback. We have not been getting it very well over the last few weeks. Actually, since the Nebraska game, it hasn't been very good. Now, against West Virginia, we got some sacks. Huh? It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. But the good thing is, though, Coop, and this is the thing that jumped out to me about this, the foundation is laid with this defensive line. We're getting a ton of tackles for the loss. Like, I would totally be upset and bothered with this team if everything we did was really bad. Like, if there was nothing I could point to, that's a good thing. But when I go look at this game from last week, we had 12 tackles for a loss. 12. Week before, we had 8. They're getting back there, and they're getting those tackles. The problem is we're just not putting the 1s and 2s and 3s together to get us the 6 that we're trying to get. The foundation is there, folks. Believe me when I tell you this. And I'm not blowing smoke up you. I am not throwing hyperbole at you. I am being straight up serious. The foundation is there. We've just got to figure out how to get everything together now. And it looks like, I hated to say this, but I had said this before the season started. I was in fear of it, and hope that it didn't come true, but it looks like it is. It's definitely going to take this team a year to truly gel the way they're supposed to. And once we get all these young players in, we'll be fine. So, Coop, what's your X factor for this game?
I'm going to say is I agree with you 100% wholeheartedly. I'm going to do a repeat. It's Danny Stutzman again. Brent Venables in his presser. If Stutzman plays, and we can talk about that if we want to. A little bit later, yeah. Rumors. But if Stutzman can't play, whoever is at that linebacker spot, whoever's going to be spying on Spencer Sanders, granted, we have to get pressure with the front four. But whoever is watching him, he is the entirety of their run game. They are, let's see here. What is it? Rushing yard. They're the number 9 in the Big 12 in rushing yards per game. They're bad. Not even kind of good. And a lot of that comes from Spencer Sanders. And so if our defensive line flushes him out, somebody needs to clean his ass up. And as Venable said, we need to play pissed off in this game. And I want to see people, because guess what? He has been under evaluation for that shoulder for 5 weeks. He came back in a little superhero effort last week against Iowa State. They weren't getting anything on pressure on the quarterback. And Gundy got a little hurt. So I just say this is we get in there and you hit him. And listen, I'm not ever, for hurting someone long-term or anything like that, but you put something on him and then we're seeing a backup. So I'm going to say Stutzman.
That's a fair one. Because, if you get Spencer Sanders out of the game, I don't know. No one's sold on Gunnar Gundy or the other quarterback. And I do not know his name. What's his name?
Garrett Rangel, yeah.
Rangel, that's what it is. His last name was a problem for a lot of people. And I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to try to butcher it. Stay away from it. Yeah. But Rangel, I'm nobody sold on him yet. And so I think that's going to be the tough thing for Gundy going forward is figuring out what the succession plan looks like, or if it is Gunnar Gundy. He may not be ready this year. He may be ready next year. A lot of players do that. They're not very good their first year out, and then the next year, boom, it turns into a whole different person. That's kind of how college football works. It takes time. You get out there, you learn everything on the job training, and then all of a sudden you become an expert a year later. That's really what happens. And so I think that's probably what we're going to see in this game. But we will get a eyeball in that capacity. So, okay. Thank y'all for tuning in as usual. Jump in the comments. We want your score predictions for this game. I know that a lot of Sooner fans, we ain't got much faith. I totally get it. I've been making this dude's face for like the last few days. Every time I look at anything Oklahoma, just like, yeah. So I want your score predictions or whatnot. and we'll give you a little help with your score prediction. So don't post it yet. This is when you need to post it. This is what the numbers look like for this game. Vegas has Oklahoma as a 7.5 freaking favorite with an over/under set at 66 points. Coop, when you saw this, what went through your mind on this spread?
When the spread came out at 5.5, I thought somebody is still feeling the effects of last night. And then now it's up to 7.5. We talked a little bit about the numbers, and you can share some of those. But here's the thing: 90, 19, and 7. There is a mentality behind this. Oklahoma State is not good. They're not good. I'm just saying this is Iowa State found themselves again last night. Or last week, if what's his name? Receiver, not Hutchinson, but if he catches that deep bomb, Iowa State wins. And once again, Oklahoma State has turned in another stinker. Listen, they got worked 40+0 against Kansas State with their complement of folks, with everything. And so like you've got that situation. We saw early in the year, they just really didn't have, they don't have anybody who is elite on the offensive side of the ball, except for maybe Spencer Sanders. He was the faux all Big 12 quarterback last year, just kind of like the best of the worst. Because they're just, Caleb Williams didn't play enough. Nobody else did anything worth noting. We had our boy up in Iowa State, who was predicted to do great things. He didn't do anything. Obviously, we know the Rattler stuff. So here's what I say is this is something. This is in Norman. The weather's going to be optimal. Spencer Sanders being back. What would this line be like if he wasn't playing? So, again, when I first saw it, I thought this is crazy, but then I started thinking about the contributing factors. And what I'm really more kind of confused on is the line or the over-under, because, for me, I feel like OU is going to score and a good amount. So what does this mean for Oklahoma State? Do they think that Oklahoma State's not going to score enough? As far as that goes, I think that we're going to have an entertaining game. I don't see this being a defensive battle at all.
So this is what's interesting to me. I'm looking at these numbers for both of these teams. Oklahoma has the worst rush defense in the Big 12, and Oklahoma State has the worst pass defense in the Big 12. And Oklahoma State can't run.
No.
But Oklahoma can pass on their best days. So the question is who's going to be able to exploit the other defense? So I was looking at ESPN's SP Plus, that basically a predictor on teams and where they feel like they actually ranked. And looking at this, Oklahoma, in their computers' eyes and predictive analytics and all of that stuff, is still the 18th team in the country at 5-5. Now, Texas is 8th, and it looks at talent and the chances of them being like favorites in any games against anybody above them. And in Oklahoma State's 22nd. So it looks like Oklahoma, the Sooners would be favorites in any game against anybody below them, like Florida State, Iowa, UCF, Washington, Baylor. They were favorites against Baylor. Even though they lost, neutral site, they'd be favored again. Florida, Kentucky, etc. And Oklahoma State's right there with them. So they have the talent. It's just it's something's got to be put together with this one. And so looking at that over-under number, we talked about this in the green room backstage, and that was the one thing that jumped out to me was, first off, Vegas still has faith in Oklahoma. They think that they're going to figure it out eventually, and when they figure it out, they're going to be blowing teams out. This is a touchdown spread.
Plus.
Exactly. And then the over-under, like you said, I think one other big thing is that the over under for West Virginia was high as well, it was in the 60s. But the weather came in. This one is optimal weather, so like you mentioned, this one should be higher. I would expect this one to be in the 70s. So this game's probably going to be like the Baylor game, 38-35. Where you getting like 73, 74 points out of it. So if you're a bettor, if you're a gambler, a degenerate like we are, I definitely am, because I'm going to probably bet on this game. I'm going on the over. I'm definitely going to take this over 66, because that's a low number for two teams that can't play defense right now. And that have passing offenses that are pretty explosive, and Oklahoma's run offense that is so dominant that Eric Gray got 200 yards in a loss. And they don't eat clock. They're the one team that runs and doesn't eat clock when they run. That's the bad part about how good the offense is they don't eat clock as a running team. It's fascinating.
It's
so
perplexing.
It is. It's very much perplexing. I just don't get it. So score prediction. What you got, Coop? Give me your number.
48-24 OU.
Oh, wow. So you think it's going to be a blowout?
I think that OU maybe gets something late. I don't see P. Ryan taking a knee. I think it's a morale builder at the end versus a morale holder, or maybe doing the right thing. This team needs a dominant win. The high school recruits that are going to be on campus right now for this weekend, this is a big thing. We need to show people, it's very, very impressive that how many people are holding true, the faith that people are, keeping, these recruits are keeping in Brent Venables and staff. And this is a gift back to them. So I see it maybe being, something where we're still pressing. And here's what I also say is, if Spencer Sanders does come out of the game, or do they get behind and it's a 100% like him throwing the ball, this is something to where I think that the defensive team coaching staff on OU says, hey, listen, if he wants to try to play catch up, and if he leaves the pocket and he takes off, make it a business decision for him, because eventually he's going to say, listen, we got 3 weeks until I'm done here, and it's NFL time. And I think that Spencer Sanders has exceeded expectations this year. And so, 48-24.
All right. That's a bold one. I'm going to go with a little bit more of a conservative approach about the margin of victory. I don't think Oklahoma covers this spread, but I think they do win. And hopefully I'm not biting. I'm hoping that they just do what they're supposed to do. I'm going to say 40-35. Feels like a 75-point game in the total. OU wins by 5. Magically, because of field goals and maybe a safety or something. I don't know. I just feel like this game is definitely a situation where Oklahoma does need, just like you said, a dominant victory in order to make everybody feel good about themselves when it comes to this game. So while you're here watching, appreciate you tuning in. Hop in the comments, give us your score prediction. Definitely we jump in on the comments and chop it up with you all like we always do. With that, keep an eye out. We'll have additional videos coming down the line. We're going to talk about Big 12 predictions. And then later we'll talk about those recruits that Coop mentioned that should be in attendance in this game. Keep a lookout for those videos. Chop it up in about a day or two. Peace.